Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Real Estate Lab podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Oh my gosh. Happy New Year. We're excited to be here. We've got a pretty fun topic. We're going to talk about what Austin was like when we moved here. And some of us came here at very different times. So we're going to go around the room and introduce ourselves. I go by ianofAustin everywhere on the internet. Who is next?
What's up, everybody? I am Liberty Walker. You can find me at Liberty Makes on the internet. And I have been in Austin proper since 2010. But before that, I was in San Marcos because I went to Texas State. Go Bobcats.
Go Bobcats. That's good. How about you, JJ?
Boom. JJ Tolentino, realtor with the Next Level Property Group, McCallum Williams Realty. I've been in Austin since 2000, and that's when I started attending University of Texas at Austin, and I never left Austin after college. And before that, I grew up an hour north of Austin in Killeen. So I would come here because this was the cool city, even in the 90s. And I'll pass it on to Liz.
Hey, I'm Liz Rich. I'm a local Austinite. I've been here basically my whole life. Graduated from Texas State as well. So go Bobcats.
Very cool. Well, I graduated from a college nowhere near here. I'm from Chicago, but I moved here in 2015, and I call myself getting in here early. But now listening to all of you, it's like, oh, okay, I'm the new one, which is really kind of funny, ironic even, because we still have people every day, obviously every single day moving here. Did you see there was an article that came out by Zillow, and they said Austin is no longer the top of the list of hottest U.S. housing markets? I don't know if I want to believe him. It's Zillow. I'm just saying. Did you see that article?
I'm starting to see. Yeah, I think there's some rankings that are occurring because of our affordability. Because affordability used to be an element of the factoring.
It did. So do you want to just jump straight into affordability and talk prices? How do you feel about that? Or do you want to talk stories of what Austin used to be? What do you think? And anybody who's interested,
on the topic. What's the topic today?
Well, the topic is what did it used to be like? And that covers anything. That covers, places that you used to visit, towns that people are like gushing over, and then home prices, affordability, everything. So which one is more exciting?
Well, if we talk about affordability, I remember the median price point.
I think they're kind of synonymous. So let's just jump into it, because when I first moved to Austin in 2010, I'm going to mention Travis Heights because that's where I first moved into that neighborhood. And it was pricey back then, but my 1-bedroom apartment was $410 a month.
So check this out. I'm going to add it right now. So I've got a map up.
There it
Travis
is.
Heights.
Travis Heights is very central. I did not have a car. I just had a Vespa. And I was able to get downtown and zoom around all day. I worked at Chewy's in Barton Springs.
Yeah.
Boom.
Some little Tex-Mex action there. And guys, I mean, if we were to throw, what the active home prices are, you would see them starting around $1 million, a 1.2, and that's going to be for like 1,000 square foot AB unit condo.
Yeah.
So a lot of changes there.
And when did you live in this area?
That was 2010. 2010. So 12 years ago.
I've got this thing up that talks about the home prices. So in 2010, average price in the Austin and Round Rock MSA. That's really important. Not just Austin proper. And we can talk about that later, but average price is $236.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. But I remember that's also why I felt like that gave Austin a lot of attention, because it was cool for that price, because we're still just as much music, just as much festivals. I think the tech is different, but in the 200s, that was a hot thing.
So I just saw another chip manufacturing article this morning about a tech company possibly donating to our city $40 billion to make Samsung look small at $17 billion.
Nice.
Come on down.
Like,
as long as they do some investing around, I mean, infrastructure will start to happen around those places just to serve the employees and the structures. But what other kind of stuff do companies do?
Well, think about it this way.
To build up the city.
Look at all this green, right? It used to be all green, right, Liz?
Yeah.
When people said Liberty Hill or Leander, what did you think?
Nobody knew what Leander was. Nobody. It was literally the podunks. Nobody.
And now people call every day. I want either Leander or this or this or this, but Leander's top of the list a lot of the times
because it's still more affordable than Cedar Park.
Yeah,
Cedar Park's landlocked. We've been landlocked for a long time.
Well, and you can see it, right? All this gray. These are all houses or living streets or confined. So really, the green is where you get to grow. Liberty Hill still has some options. Taylor, where Samsung's moving, look at that.
Huge.
It's a little large.
But go back to Cedar Park. There's a big part of Austin, and what made Austin special is Baker Sanctuary. And Baker Sanctuary starts in Cedar Park and goes all through downtown Austin.
Is that something I can...
Baker Sanctuary?
It's the home of the golden cheek warbler. It's a protected migrant songbird.
Okay.
Tell me about this.
Tell me, yes. Godzilla Preserve? I've never even heard of this stuff. What?
Godzilla.
You can take tours. Like, okay, well, I used to be an elementary school teacher, and that would be a field trip we would take our children on to go look through the woods and see, evidence that this songbird still was here.
And so a little side note there, a lot of that green, especially
protected land.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That is the nesting ground. And so it had a lot of effect on the development in that area. Lakeline Mall.
If you're building back there, there's only 6 months out of the year that you can get permitted. And if you haven't started building back there, it's not happening until that 6 month period is over, because that's when the bird is here and they're protecting that animal.
So you're telling me if a developer was in this area and they had lots and you wanted to buy a house, if it's during the migratory pattern of this golden cheek
warbler,
then you can't actually build your house.
That's correct.
I love it.
So I'm right there in Deer Creek Ranch. That's where I live. And it was a huge problem. And it's still, even like for builders going out to Lago Vista.
Yeah.
It's something they're dealing with. If you have not broken ground in the migrant season, ain't happening.
And you were telling me the same thing about Lakeline. Can you share that story? That's a really good story for people to know.
I guess this was like early 2000s, late 90s. Lakeline Mall was supposed to be the biggest mall in the United States. It was supposed to be bigger than the Mall of America. And there was the land, all those apartment complexes around that now, that was supposed to be part of the mall. But there was a protected beetle that lived underground. And because of the beetle, the activists got in and put a stop to it.
Here, you know why this is so important? This is so important.
I know. Well, I love those beetles, those green-backed, beautiful beetles. So I'm in favor of protecting those animals. But at the same time, that is part of your due diligence, guys. And that's one of the reasons why you reach out to us, because we do have some knowledge about what's happening there.
So one thing that we saw what the domain did to Austin, and we'll get to that. And we saw what Mueller did to Austin, right? Well, we know what Tesla is going to do. We know what Samsung's going to do. But then look at the other projects. Your domain-like projects like Northline and Leander Springs.
The new domain up north.
These aren't actually done, right? They're building them. And so imagine if some golden cheek green beetle shows up. I know that's not the same, but shows up, and then they're like, hold on, we have to halt this entire project.
Well, I think the thing to note about the project in Cedar Park, Leander, they're just taking what is already currently built and revamping it. They're rerouting the roads. They're,
the South Bell.
The concrete is already there.
Yes. So speaking of concrete, has anybody dealt with impervious coverage permits?
No.
So if you're building a house, and it depends on where you're building it, or if you're trying to add on to your house, like add a deck or anything like that, Austin is cracking down. They're like, listen, you've covered enough people have covered the nature. You can't just cover your entire land with concrete.
Don't y'all kind of love that funkiness of Austin though?
I do.
If we don't do that, we'll be the next Houston, and it'll be all concrete.
I love that you say that.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into that. I just was in Houston for New Year's, and I was happy to be back. Things are a little bit more organized.
I mean, that's the reason why I decided to move to this city, is because of all of the natural beauty that it has to provide.
And you come from San Antonio, or San Marcos, or San Antonio originally?
Originally, I was born in Houston, downtown Houston on 5th Street.
Okay. And then what did you think of Austin when you were younger?
I mean, honestly, it was a music city. My mom had lived here in the 70s. She should be a guest. I'm sure she has some stories
She's coming on.
about Hippie Hollow.
Oh, yeah.
If you're watching, don't comment.
Explain that. People need to know about Hippie Hollow.
Yeah, so Hippie Hollow is this secret beach that's not such a secret anymore, but it's infamous for, a bunch of young students, UT students, and young people going there and just being as free as you can be.
Free. Here's the thing.
Is this New Beach?
Well, hold on. I don't know if you know this. Austin is legally a topless city.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen
remember
people
those
jogging topless down the road. Yeah. And at first it was like, whoa, is that legal? It is.
Yeah, that's not legal everywhere. But Austin, they're like, yeah, be free. Do it.
What's funny about you knowing about Hippie Hollow being a young place, growing up, it wasn't for young people. It was where like the old nudist would go to be free.
I think those young people may have stayed a little bit past their expiration.
Yeah, that's what happened. They started out young and then they just said, this is it. This is our life. Have you guys ever heard about the naked bike ride?
No, but please tell us.
I've seen weird people riding bikes, and I've seen weird topless people.
That one doesn't seem hygienic.
Oh, October 9th.
There you go.
I missed it. October 9th, 2021.
Make sure you wear your sunscreen.
Yeah, well, I'm a little exempt from that. Not really. Texas heat hits differently, but that's fun. So let's look at the home prices. So we talked about affordability. Before we jump too deep into that, I want to show one thing. A lot of people are talking about, oh, Austin's growing and growing and growing. It's got to crash. You hear people saying that?
Oh, yeah, okay. But it's not going. I don't think it is.
Check this out. Look at 2008. What was that? A recession?
The housing market crashed.
Yeah, and look what Austin did. Nothing. 1% drop.
I will argue that you can't crash 200s at that time. It was already too affordable to mess with.
You think so?
I thought so. I was like, what's it going to do? Go to 100?
Like, is it free?
You know?
I think this is important to see that this is 2020 only. We're probably, what are we, 540 right now? It's still going up, but there's so much more to grow.
Yeah, we're at the 5s.
Right? Look at California, New York, Chicago. We've got some time. And how long do you think it's going to take before Austin feels like that?
5
you don't
years.
have to answer that. We have a comment here.
5 years. My prediction.
Mr. Raker.
5 years from now.
He says, what about the Brody Oaks Retail Center? And the reason why we read out the comments is because we have this as an audio podcast on Spotify, Google, Amazon, Apple. So if you're interested in listening while you're driving, please feel free to find us there too. Do we know if this is getting built, this Brody Oaks Retail Center? Has anybody heard of that?
I haven't. That's a new one for me.
About it.
Let's learn.
No, but I could imagine more retail there.
Oh, this is small. Oh,
ooh,
this isn't the Onion Creek one, because they have the Onion Creek project. They have this was March 4th. They have a lot of projects like this, and if you keep checking back on this channel, on our channels, then we'll talk about these projects that are upcoming and show you actually how to find what the status is on them. But right now, I don't have an answer for you. That's a really good one. Thanks for sharing. I'm actually going to share this in the comments for everybody too.
Yeah, generally speaking, though, I do think that we're turning into a more compact city, more density. You know, it looks like a high rise there. Definitely a handful of mid rises. That's where this city's heading towards.
Well, and this is like Mueller, right? Like the idea. Live, work, play. You can live here, you can work in the high rise or at home, and then you've got your parks, your movie theaters, and all that. And for those of you that don't know, they're doing this type of thing in every city in Austin, near Austin right now. There's at least one, if not 5, of these types of projects planned.
Yeah, there's a handful.
Which is why we say, if you're looking to move to Austin, it doesn't matter where. Closer to the city is great, but everywhere, Round Rock, Cedar Park, Pflugerville, Buda, Kyle, all of them are doing this sort of thing. All right, give me some more old school stuff.
Well, what's interesting to me, Liberty, you might know more about the details of how it happened, but old school Austin, you couldn't build a building that was higher than the Capitol building.
Ooh, I think that's still a thing.
Well, look at downtown. I think the Frost building's taller.
It's not so much the height. I think it's the corridor views.
I'm sorry. You're right. There are plenty of buildings that are taller now. But you're right. They're only newer. I know in Round Rock, you couldn't build a building more than 2 stories until in the last couple of years.
Wow.
And that's why downtown Round Rock, all the businesses are 2-story buildings.
Yep.
Like if you look in a little bit east of Mueller, that neighborhood there, I mean, those deed restrictions, those homes, a lot of those homes were built in like the 60s.
Like here?
It's near kind Walnut? Of like off airport, it's like Cherrywood, right? It's like Cherrywood. I'll just do kind of just like southeast of Mueller. And those deed restrictions, guys, you cannot build a 2-story building. So people come in and they want to tear the home down, the single-story home, to build a new one. And those deed restrictions, those stay strong. They're very strict about that.
I'm going to pause for a minute and say, if you've not yet been to Bird Biscuit, I am not an owner or affiliated, but you deserve it to try it for yourself. It is phenomenal.
Bird biscuit.
Speaking of, yeah. Let's talk about some food that was around that isn't anymore.
Oh my gosh, this breaks my heart. Because I feel like every time I log onto Facebook, it's like Sway is gone now. And so many wonderful restaurants.
Huts Hamburgers on 6th Street.
What was it?
Huts on 6th Street.
Huts?
Best onion rings.
West 6.
I hadn't been there. HUTTS?
HUT, yeah. It's gone now. Historic. And what's the pizza place that just closed down? Their last location just closed down.
I saw that.
Is closed. That was
it like Mangia?
I mean, there's a lot. But honestly, this year and the year past, restaurants in general had a tough time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, what do you think of Dan's Hamburgers?
I'm not I have eaten one.
Well, I'm just asking because that's old school. What do you think of Torchy's? Liz, what do you think of Torchy's? Back in the day.
That's pretty good. Oh, back in the day, it was non-existent.
When did it come around?
That's a newer thing.
That's all people hear. All people, they're like, oh, Torchy's. Whenever you hear Austin, oh yeah, I've been to Torchy's. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's a newer thing. It's not old school.
Trend.
But like old school, what was that French restaurant downtown? That one just closed down. Oh my gosh.
No, the one near Garbo's or the one near the Gordo's, the donut truck?
I'll look it up because it's a French word, so I don't remember it.
La Patisserie? Okay, so what about South Congress? I'm going to tell you, when I moved here, I remember going to South Congress and seeing all these food trucks and thinking, this is so cool. Like, that's all it was on. That's all there was on South Congress. And now you have all these crazy, you have Lululemon and all these haberdasheries and all this stuff. And I'm like, what is going on here?
It's just become a cool place to hang out.
And all of the South First too, if you go a little bit west, you'll see the Hermé is coming from New York. We have
Hermès. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing them at South by, and I was like, what are they doing on South Congress?
So this whole area right there is going to be developed.
You think that all of here is going to be the same? Like it's just going to be this whole section that's exploding?
Mm-hmm.
It's
prime real estate.
If you're living down there now, I would put money on that soon. You're going to be neighbor to a high rise, at least a 5+
Speaking of high rises, you remember what Rainy Street? Can you describe what Rainy Street used to feel like?
So Rainy Street, these were like homes that were built in like the 1900s. They were like very old homes that had been renovated to these really cool kind of bars. You would have hardwood floors and very walkable, no sidewalks though. So kind of dangerous, honestly.
Yeah. It's really just an extension of the East Side by another couple blocks, right? Residential 1900s.
Yeah, you could live down there. And now, I mean, honestly, I haven't been down there, guys. What is it like now?
This is what it's like now.
Also, if you're older and watching this, we can't bring it too far back because we're probably like 80s and up.
I was really upset when they started putting high rises and stuff on Rainy Street. I was like, why would they do that?
Garage Mahal was down there. That was like the Indian food restaurant. That was so tasty.
Let's do this one. This is what I was talking about.
Yeah, people used to ignore that street because it was dilapidated housing.
Yeah. Cool little bars like this.
Little bungalow.
Little Lucy's.
Houses.
Mm-hmm.
This place doubled. What was it? Hanover's? Or not Hanover's. Bangers. Sausage?
The sausages.
It was just this building. Look at that, what they added. Or no, it's just this building. And they added this, and did they add that too? It looks like it's connected. It's crazy.
Look, the sausage business is booming down there, guys.
Well, you know what it really was? So they had the homemade sausage, but then they also had something like 140 beer on tap.
Which is awesome.
That's what it was.
So
local
tasty.
Beer.
I've been there many times. I don't remember most of them.
And remember they had, what was it? Circus or something was one of the bars over here.
So much fun.
And then they put this garbage here. I mean, I say garbage, but it's.
I mean, guys, those lofts are still prime. I would love to have one as a little vacation home. We could go in on one and just trot around. There's still a lot of fun stuff to do.
I 100% agree that it's fun, but it was at the expense of removing things that were already fun, right?
Yes.
That's my worry about it.
Well, it goes back
to the container bar
thing that I was talking about. We have too many people moving here. This is still very broken up into individual houses. You know what I mean? Like just east of downtown is still individual lots.
Well, and I think that's why they're doing this.
Yeah, you have to do that.
Right? There was nothing but a couple buildings and some land, and now if you need to live here and you want to live on the street or one of the really popular streets, well, this is what you get. If you want to buy a house in an area like this, you're spending $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Goes back to the affordability factor. Like a conversation I was having with a friend just yesterday is what's going to happen to our community as these prices keep going up and our public servants' cost of living is going up, but those incomes are not going up. How are we going to help that community and make sure we have good teachers, good firefighters? It's a problem that I think the affordable housing market is going to have to look at.
So Sean OSX, apparently he's a fan of Mac or Apple. He says, at the expense of people's neighborhood, just saying. And I think that speaks to what you're saying, Liz, as far as, if your nurses, not even your nurses, if your police officers, your firefighters, and your teachers can't live in your same neighborhood, what does that do?
And that is a real problem. So being a background of a teacher, teachers are only living here if they have, spouses that have, 6-figure incomes. They can't afford to live in these areas.
Yeah. My wife
it is something I think that as the housing market increases, it's something that we need to be thinking about and making plans so everybody can have. What are we going to do without good teachers, y'all?
I know.
Check this out. I mean, I have 2 kids getting ready to go to school, and I'm like, where do we go?
I have 2 kids in public education right now.
I was at Best Buy last night, and they were closing at 7, and that's the extent of my pain. But,
I do hate that.
It's because they don't have workers, teachers. They don't have enough teachers. They don't have, and while that is extended to everywhere,
think also just to keep everybody back home, everything closes early, right?
Yeah. So no, I've been tried going through drive-throughs, and they're like, "Yep, nobody wants to come to work. We're closed." Seriously, that's what the drive-through said. I was like, "Wow." So I'm noticing a lot of this too. So I'm pointing out Ramen Tatsuya. I don't know how old is the original Ramen Tatsuya? Does anybody know that?
Probably a handful of years.
Oh man,
and that place is so good. If you have not been there,
but look at where this is. It's by Zilker. The original one is over up.
It's in and on Burnett or something.
Yeah, it's on
183. Yeah,
it's over by our office.
I'm seeing a lot of that. If you're you're either north or south of what used to be called Town Lake, right? And now it's Ladybird Lake, right? But you used to be north-south. Now traffic's so bad along 35 in rush hour that all these restaurants, they're like, okay, well, if we've got a north location, we got to put it south too. We have to. Yeah. So I'm seeing that all over the place. That's why I had asked about Dan's Hamburgers. I'm seeing a lot of places double up. A lot of bars, everything.
That's what successful restaurants are supposed to do, because it's all about convenience. It's like a Starbucks. Sometimes you'll even see them. I mean, they're everywhere. They're across the street from each other.
All right. What do we think about? So Shane P asks, what do you guys think about the neighborhood around Costco, 78749, crime rate and growth? Shane, we're not allowed to answer crime information, but you can go to Austin. I think you can just go to austin.gov and they give crime data.
Like Austin Police Department websites.
And what I like to do too is follow the Austin Police Department on Twitter
and Instagram.
They are tweeting all day long.
Yes.
About what's going on.
Really good suggestion. And I would do that for not just your county, but check out neighborhoods on Facebook and on Nextdoor if you can too.
Yeah. Join neighborhood groups, see what everyone's talking about.
Well, let's look at 78749. The Costco growth. We can speak to the growth.
Oh, by circles.
The new HEB. Let's talk about that growth, guys.
I think that's a great area.
Super so fabulous. And they are improving on, we call it the Y. And historically, the traffic there is just atrocious.
Crazy.
I was going to say the traffic along here is the worst. I mean,
it's going to get a little worse before it gets a little better, but it will be getting a lot better because they have even broken ground on expanding those lanes.
I feel like there's just not.
Well, that's the thing. When you're expanding lanes like this, that's a 3-year project, 5-year project.
Let's talk about restaurants in the Y though. Like there are some crazy good restaurants down there. Pius.
Oh,
best pizza
is that
in
the
town.
Pizza? Pius is the pizza, right?
Yes. But they also do like their in-house pastrami. If you've never been there.
I haven't had the pastrami. That's good.
It's silly. Delicious.
So I've got another question real quick. It says, do you guys know if United Built Homes, do they have a good reputation? I don't know if that necessarily reflects the topic of today, but if somebody wants to answer in the comments later, please feel free to answer. All right. We've been live for 30 minutes, y'all.
There's so much
some parting thoughts. People thinking of moving here, but remember what it was like when they were younger. What would you say to them? JJ.
People that are moving here. And what?
Liberty.
I would say that it's been exciting for me because the city has grown and so have I.
Ooh,
and
love that.
More, once being a freshly out of college person coming here and just kind of exploring and slumming it a little bit to now being able to enjoy actually going out to a restaurant, things are opening up and changing and I am excited about it. So my thoughts are positivity. As long as we can preserve what is great about this place.
Very well put. Liz, how do you feel about it?
I agree. I mean, I think if we can keep what made Austin special.
You mean weird?
Yes.
Does that slogan even fit anymore?
I don't know. I really do feel like Portland is our sister city, and it's, I mean, yeah, I do think there's some special things about Austin that we just have to keep special, right? Like the trees and the grass. I think that's what's cool about Austin. You have a huge level of old school and new school, the progressive, but you still value the mother nature that made us beautiful in the first place.
How you feel, JJ?
I think things are about to take off. The city's been historically, it doesn't really show up on the radar because it's been like a political city. It's been the capital. It's been a college town for decades, nearly a century. Michael Dell stepped into the picture. You have a little bit of a tech foundation. Now, other tech money stepping into the picture. It's about to take off. And I would just tell viewers to be very conscious and super aware that it's going to change dramatically. And that's not necessarily bad or good, but you can use it to your advantage. And we're talking about affordability. It's a good time to invest in something. You could always hedge your real estate affordability by owning some real estate. That way you're in the market and it's constantly going up with you. So just be aware, because I do think the economy is a lot different. The industry is a lot different, and tech money is really like an unstoppable force. So call us if y'all need anything. What do you think, Ian?
Man, when I was moving here, I looked at it like it is the fitness capital of the world, music capital. It was the Texas capital. It had a lot of great food culture. There were like 9 capitals that it was, right? Mm-hmm. And I came here and I felt that. Art capital or something like that. I don't know about art capital of the world, but the US or Texas but it was all these things. And I remember being downtown on rainy, I don't know if it was rainy. I think it was right on 2nd Street or something like that, seeing this guy riding a donkey in a cowboy hat. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. This is my place.
Yeah.
Right. And the question I love change. I love growth. Sorry, not change. I love growth. I see Austin growing. I hope it continues to grow, but preserve those same values, because I don't feel like today, or I don't know if tomorrow I can wear a Keep It Weird shirt and feel like it fits.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I think we're doing just fine about keeping things weird. Every day a new building pops up and I'm like, woo, that's weird. That's super weird.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining today. See you again next week. I want to hear from the audience. If you've got anything that you want us to talk about next week, let us know. And Liz, appreciate you for being here. If you want to reach out to any of us, I will tag you. Yeah. If you want to reach out to any of us, leave a question in the comments and we'll get to you. Thank you so much.
See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.